오늘 이 영상을 끝까지 보시면 여러분들은 세 가지를 알게 되십니다. 자, 첫 번째, 부모들의 교육 수준은 우리 아이들의 성공에 얼만큼 영향을 미칠까요? 그리고 또 그런 얘기 들어보셨죠? 장녀가 리더십이 있다. 이 부분에 대한 흥미로운 사실을 아실 수 있습니다. 두 번째, 성별, 인종, 종교 상관없이 전 세계적으로 크게 성공한 기업인들의 부모님들은 공통적으로 이 말을 하셨고 이 행동을 하셨다고 합니다. 이것을 아실 수 있고요. 그리고 오늘 바로 적용할 수 있는 꿀팁 10가지를 아실 수 있습니다. 세 번째, 기업인들은 공통적으로 위험을 감당하는 사람들이죠. 부모들이 도대체 어떻게 키웠길래 그런 위험을 감당하는 인재가 되었을까요? 그 핵심 키워드를 아실 수 있습니다. 오늘 모시는 인터뷰 패널이 위에서 말씀드린 세 가지 질문에 대해 전 세계 그 누구보다 확실하고 명료하게 답하실 수 있는 분이거든요. 전 세계에서 가장 영향력 있는 젊은 기업인 70명과 그 부모님들을 인터뷰하신 마곳 비스나우 여사님을 만나보시겠습니다. Can you please introduce yourself?
Hi, my name's Margot Machol Bisnow, and I wrote a book, Raising an Entrepreneur, How to Help Your Children Achieve Their Dreams. I interviewed 70 entrepreneurs and or their parents to see how they were raised.
There's like so many occupations. Why entrepreneurs in particular?
Yeah, so my older son, Elliot, started an organization called Summit in 2008 that was conferences of young entrepreneurs. And back in 2008, I didn't really know young entrepreneurs. And I was just so curious because I hadn't met people like this before. And I would go up to all of them and I'd ask them, like, how did you turn out this way? Like, why did you decide you're putting so much at risk? You know, everything is so uncertain. And why did you choose this? And they all said the same thing to me. They always said, I had somebody who believed in me, who told me I could do anything, I could succeed at anything. Usually it was their mother. And I was so struck by this. And I kept talking to my kids about it. And they said, you have to write a book. And I'm like, I can't write a book. And they said, no, you have to write a book.
So
Can I just say in answer to your question, it's not that being an entrepreneur is better than having sort of a normal job. It's different. I think it takes a different kind of person, especially young people. They want to follow their heart. They want to do something that they think is important in the world. They just don't want to have like a 9-to-5 job in a boring company.
we should take a risk to become entrepreneurs, right? So
Yes.
what do you think made them take such risks?
Yes, I think that's an excellent question, Bruce. I think the main difference between entrepreneurs and people who go into normal professions, in fact, is their willingness to take risk. And I think it all stems to the way that they were raised. People who become entrepreneurs are not punished for failure. They are taught that failure is how you learn and grow and get strong. They have to fix mistakes, but they're told that's how you get better. Billie Jean King, the famous tennis player, said, we don't call it failure, we call it feedback. And it's a way to learn. And so many of these entrepreneurs, they all were doing something as they were growing up where they were competing. Many of them, it was sports. Some of them, it was something else, but they all ended up competing. And when you compete a lot, you fail a lot. And so you learn that when you fail, what did I do wrong? What should I do next time? How can I improve? And you learn that failure is a way to learn. And you're not afraid then to take risks.
It's the beauty of failure, right? They see it differently.
It's important if you want your child to become a risk taker, not to punish them when they make mistakes, but just to say, what did you learn from this? How could you do it better next time?
You said you've interviewed the most successful entrepreneurs and their families around the world, right? Like 70 people?
Yes, 70, but they're actually not the most successful. And I talked to my son about this a lot before I got started. And the point is that very few people are going to have a child who ends up becoming Elon Musk, right? So that's not what the goal should be. The goal should be that you should raise a child that has the courage to follow their convictions and to start something that they can do and enjoy and be proud of. And maybe they'll have, you know, $1 billion company. And there are certainly people like that in the book, but maybe they'll only have 5 employees, and that's okay too. I want parents to know that this is another choice. This is another option. An entrepreneur is not just somebody who starts a big company. It can be a nonprofit. It can be an artist. It can be an activist.
What were the most important traits of their parents?
Well, I actually have 10 different sort of rules that the parents all followed in general, which was really interesting to me because it was a very diverse group. It's half men, it's half women, it's every race, it's every religion, it's every socioeconomic background. And I was so surprised that basically all the parents raised their children the same. They all believed in their child. When I say, well, every one of these parents believed in their child, and people say, oh, come on, Margot, every parent believes in their child. Every parent wants their child to be successful and happy. But most parents think if their child does the thing they love the most, they can't make a living. And so they say, well, of course you can take music lessons in high school, but in college you have to major in something serious. Or they say, so you can have a real job. And if the parent says, wow, you did so well in that thing you love, and you didn't do as well in school, but that's okay, because we can see how hard you're working on the thing you love. And so it shows that the child, that the parent believes if the child really loves something and really works hard at it and succeeds at it, that, you know, they'll be okay. And by the way, a lot of these people, some of them, especially the actors or the musicians or the people in the arts, they fell in love with something, you know, when they were little, and they're still doing it today. A lot of these other entrepreneurs, they kept changing what they loved. They kept changing what their passion was. And that was okay because their parents supported whatever they were interested in, and their kid mastered something. And
so in your opinion, what is really supportive?
Not really supportive would be, you need to study all your classes. You need to get good grades in everything. You need to go to a good college. And I don't know about life in Korea, but I think it's probably pretty much the same as here. It's a different world from 20 years ago or 30 years ago, when all of the parents were growing up. Life was different. You went to college and then you got a job and you kept that job. That's not what most kids are doing today. And that's not what most kids want to do today.
The correlation between parents' education level and children's success.
So there were actually a number of things before I started interviewing everyone that I thought would be important.
Yeah.
And I didn't know. Most of my assumptions turned out to be wrong. So first of all, birth order did not matter. Everyone said to me, oh, I'll bet all the entrepreneurs are either first children or only children. And it turned out they weren't. And it turned out that sometimes there were 2 kids. And the thing that was interesting to me is wherever they were in the birth order, they thought that was perfect. And they thought that contributed to their entrepreneurial success. The thing I was wrong about was education. I thought that they probably all came from parents who had a certain level of education, but no, a number of them had parents who hadn't even graduated from high school. And also there was no correlation between how educated the parents were and how much education their kids ended up getting. So for me, I mean, I have an MBA from Northwestern, Kellogg. My husband has a law degree from Harvard. My father was a professor. I grew up in university towns. Everyone I knew had a PhD. It never occurred to me that I could have a child who didn't graduate from college. And then my older son, Elliot, dropped out after halfway through his junior year. When our son told us that he wanted to drop out of college, I was just horrified. How is he going to live? How will he be successful? And I was just wrong. Interesting thing is that a year and a half after he dropped out, so a month before he would have graduated, is when my son invited 18 young entrepreneurs under the age of 30 to get together for a ski weekend in Utah. And that led to Summit. And the amazing thing about that was it was the first time, this was 2008, It was the first time that young entrepreneurs had ever gathered together. And so when I look back now, I realized that if he had stayed in college for another year and a half, the moment would have passed him by. So the first one would be to support a passion.
Mm.
We were talking about this earlier, whatever passion your child loves, tell them how proud you are for their success and their hard work in that. The second would be to let your child learn to win and to lose, and to support them when they lose, to support them, to show them how they're learning through failure. The third would be, don't worry about straight A's, that how they do in school, as long as they're working really, really, really hard at something, it's okay. So another one would be about mentors. Most of these kids had a mentor, someone, not a parent and not a teacher, who believed in them and who worked in them and who sort of coached them. It could be a music teacher, a neighbor, but somebody along the way who supports them and helps them and guides them and gives them a different perspective.
What about your son? Who was a mentor to your son back then?
My older son, Elliot, who was a tennis player, he started at about 12. At 12, most of the other kids who end up becoming the best are already doing regional tournaments. So every time he played, he lost. And he would just say, I know what I did wrong. I'll beat him next time. And he ended up becoming 35 in the country in the juniors.
Wow.
His mentor was a man named Martin Blackman, who now runs player development for the US Tennis Association, a wonderful guy. And Martin said, if you want to be a champion on the court, you have to be a champion off the court. It was really quite remarkable. Then the next one would be to instill confidence. We also talked about embrace adversity. Most of these people experienced significant adversity in their lives and became resilient. Everybody's going to have adversity in their life. The secret is learning how to deal with it and how to bounce back from it. Another one I talk about is called nurture compassion. Most of these parents said to their kids, like, the most important thing is for you to be a kind person, to care about other people. And most of these entrepreneurs, they don't say, like, how can I make a lot of money? They say, how can I make a better product? How can I improve the world? It sort of starts with compassion and caring and kindness.
They don't really focus on money.
No, I think that's sort of a myth that people become entrepreneurs to make money. I don't think so. I think if you really want to make money, go into finance. It's a tough road. It's long. It's a lot of work and effort. You don't know if you're going to make money, and you do it because you care about it. I have another one called Be a Great Family. That, I mean, just everybody supporting everybody. Every entrepreneur said to me, I have a great family. My family loves me. My family's there for me. My family supports me. I mean, John Chu told me, he said, I always knew if I failed that I could go home. But having that confidence gave me the courage to take risks. There's another one that might be surprising. It's called Show Them There Is Something Bigger. Every one of these people believed that they were put on earth for a reason and that they have a purpose and a calling in life. Many of them came from quite religious families, all different religions. But even the ones who came from families that weren't that religious, they were sort of they cared a lot about morals and values. And then the last one is called Lead by Following, by which I mean, and it's a tough one for parents, let your kids show you what they love and what they want to do, and then be supportive of that.
Which is the most difficult one, right?
Yes, it is. It's very difficult because we think we know best. And so it's hard to step back and let them lead. I want to say to all parents, trust the process, have faith in your kids, see what makes your child's heart sing, see what gives your child joy, and encourage them and tell them how proud you are of their success in that. And tell them not to worry about setbacks and inevitable failures, that in the long run that they're going to be great. And let them know you're there for them and you believe in them and you care for them, and you're excited to watch their journey.
Thank you for your word.
I enjoyed talking to you, Bruce.
오늘 인터뷰 어떠셨나요? 핵심 키워드는 아이들을 향한 지지와 믿음, 그리고 역경을 대하는 태도를 변화시켜 주시는 것일 텐데요. 그리고 최종 영상에서는 편집되었는데, 자, 마고 여사님 역시 아이들을 어떻게 칭찬해야 하는지에 대한 부분을 말씀해 주셨어요. 뭐 결과가 아닌 과정을 칭찬해야 된다라고 말씀을 해주셨는데요. 국가를 막론하고 모든 아이들은 결과가 아닌 과정을 칭찬받아야 되나 봅니다. 자, 이 모든 이야기의 키워드를 하나로 모으자면 바로 회복 탄력성을 길러줘야 된다는 것 같은데요. 오늘 이 영상 보시고 아이들의 회복 탄력성을 어떻게 더 키워주셔야 될까 고민이 되시는 분들은 지니킴 박사님의 회복 탄력성 인터뷰 콘텐츠를 한번 보시는 것을 추천드립니다. 제가 최종 영상 링크에 연결시켜 놓을게요. 영상 끝까지 봐주셔서 감사합니다.